As you take this unusual class, I ask that you consider the following information. Whether you are trying to decide to start a business or have a decision to make about something in your already existing business, consider something not talked about in business school: using your intuition. Over the years, studies have shown that successful CEOs rely heavily on intuition. After they have studied all the ins and outs of their problem, the final decision often comes down to what their gut tells them. You should make lists of why to do your idea and a parallel list of why not to do it. But then use your intuition as the final arbiter once you have all the information gathered. Trust your gut. Now, sometimes that means you'll go against conventional wisdom. Let me give you an example. When the co-founder of Sony decided to come out with the Walkman, everyone said he was nuts. Who'd want to listen to music or books while walking or jogging or exercising? No one had ever heard of such a thing. But he personally wanted to listen to opera in a more portable fashion than the clumsy cassette players on the market. And he also had the gut feeling that the yuppies were beginning this exercising trend and that they'd love listening to music while they jogged. Now, marketing research couldn't help him because whoever thought about walking with your music? So he went with his gut feel anyhow. And look at what happened. The Walkman turned out to be their best-selling product. Let me give you a more personal example of using intuition. I came up with the idea to build a village, quote unquote, devoted to handcrafts out in the woods of northern Minnesota. And everyone said I was nuts. I live 200 miles north of Minneapolis and 100 miles east of Fargo, North Dakota, in a little town of 3,500 people. Well, who was going to come to that village? The townfolk all jeered. But I knew that there was a 20% unemployment rate in our poor rural county, and jobs were badly needed. And this northern Minnesota town needed a tourist attraction. I also knew that there was a huge number of people in the area who did incredibly beautiful handcrafts like woodworking, pottery, quilting, stained glass, candle making, etc., who would love having a local market instead of packing up and driving to arts and craft fairs every summer and fall. So my gut said to combine all of that into a fun place to visit, where visitors could also watch the artists at work. I shared that vision with 11 other women. They had the same gut instinct for this idea and joined me in building this unusual place out in the middle of the northern Minnesota wilderness. The 12 of us incorporated as founding mothers. We bought 67 acres of wilderness in March, broke ground in April, and opened in May with 8 cottages and a restaurant. From the day we broke ground to the day we opened was an impossible 5 weeks and 5 days. The result was we had 200 artisans making high-quality crafts for the village. We employed 100 people. We had projected to the bank that we would have 20,000 visitors, and 100,000 people showed up. Practicality said it would fail, but our woman's intuition said it would work. Now, here's a heartwarming thought. As women, you're allowed to use women's intuition more than men are allowed to speak of intuition, which is seen as sort of a weak female thing and not very manly. So as women, we're lucky that we can do it and talk about it. We're also lucky in that we've often been left out of the loop of how to do things because we're females. To which I say, thank heavens, you can use that to your advantage. When I was in high school, I wanted to take shop, but because I was a girl, I wasn't allowed to. Well, thank heavens. If I had built my little nightstand in shop over the course of an entire semester, I would have known you can't build a whole village in 5 weeks and 5 days. However, this way I didn't know any better, so I figured out how to do it. We were like the bumblebees. Aerodynamically, the bee can't fly because its body is too big for its wingspan. But the bumblebee doesn't know that. It just keeps on flying. And so did we. Another thing to remember is that studies have also shown that your first instinct is usually the correct one. So learn to not second guess yourself. The hardest part is getting started with your decision. Once you make that decision, you can tweak it as you go along.